Okay, so I'm joined by David Artell. Firstly, David, a bit of a tricky start to 2025, but a full week with the lads to try and turn a corner.
Yeah, I think turning the corner might be a little bit too dramatic, but at the same time I understand the reason for the question. I think, we've been generally good. We've certainly improved in the last 13 months, and we've got to try and continue that improvement. We've never lost 3 on the spin all season, and because we've had a couple of poor results, if not a poor performance and an okay performance. And we've got to sort of get back to being us and getting back to what we're good at. And our last home performance, we did that really, really well against the biggest budget in the league. So we've got another couple of big tests at home, and we've got to be up for the challenge. So yeah, nothing really changes in that sense, but we've got to sort of get back on the horse.
Yeah, and obviously a very intense schedule that we've been going through, as all the other clubs have as well. But we get the benefit of a full week of training with the lads. What, from your side, is the key benefit of getting that one whole week working with them?
Rest. That's the first thing. We had 4 games in 9 days. Some had 4 in 10. That extra 24 hours was huge, really important. We weren't afforded that luxury. So the priority was certainly to rest some tired legs and tired minds. Mentally playing 4 games in 9 days is tough. Never mind physically. So even those that didn't play full 90 minutes, it's tough, because you've got to be mentally right. So we've certainly given them space, time. We trained on Tuesday and they were quite flat, the lads. It wasn't necessarily an issue, because we knew that they were, still probably mentally fatigued from the schedule. So really important that we don't at that point start loading them up with information. We wanted them to have a real sort of break, if you like, albeit they're still training, but actually much more of a deload, certainly Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from us giving them instruction. I think that was really important. So that's took up a big chunk of the week to try and refresh minds as well as legs, before we get into the nuts and bolts of how we go about beating Notts County. Yeah,
and do you have any good news with players coming back into the training and coming into contention?
Yeah, we've had Charles has been training, Curtis has been training, Justin's nearly back, Cam Gardner's training, Cam Green is training. That's how we're getting, extremely close to getting players back if they're not already back. So, it's if we stay injury free this weekend, then next weekend should look even rosier if it's not this weekend.
Yeah, and it's a nice sort of managerial headache to have, having these lads coming back. It's a big boost, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if I'm being totally honest, I think we've probably had 2 or 3 games sort of start of December where we've had to make some decisions, really. With the exception of that, I think the team's tended to pick itself as a general rule of thumb. If you said to me at the start of the season what our midfield 3 would be, I don't think anyone would have said Evan would have played a lot of games. You'd have probably said George, you'd have probably said Greeny, you'd have probably said Jordan Davis. Well, 2 of them have, certainly Jordan's been out for a while. Greeny's had spells, and there's only probably George that's been continuous, if you like. Though in the mix with Jaden Luca, when he first came, he was, he wasn't fit. We've really struggled to maintain standards in the middle of the pitch through changes. That affected us last weekend at Bradford. And it's affected us against Walsall, for example, on the season. But hopefully we can address that in this month with players, and also when players are coming back, like a Curtis. So hopefully that's good news all round, really. So yeah, that's where we are with that.
Yeah, and I think there's no understating how much of a tough challenge it's going to be for the lads with Saturday's game. Notts County come in, they've won 4 of the last 5, with the exception of Walsall. The runaway, obviously, league leaders. What do you sort of expect from Stuart Maynard and his teams?
Yeah, look, they're obviously a well-drilled team. They've been in a period of growth now for a number. They've had to take more than just a step back. They was in a division lower. They started again, if you like. They obviously did ever so well to get up. They've had a season where they've built. They've changed manager in a positive way, and sort of continued that. So they've been at it now for nearly 3 years, and it shows. It shows in their play. So we know it's always a tough game against Notts County. Whenever I go and watch a game, Stuart's there. We often sit next to each other and discuss football. He's a good guy. He's a football man. So it's going to be a good battle. And last time we played them at BP, it was a corker. We knew we didn't have the players to necessarily stop them that day. So we knew we'd have to outscore them, and we very nearly did. So yeah, we're not necessarily planning for a 5-5 again, but at the same time, we know that they've got some good players, but so have we. And we're both close in the table to each other, as is about 10 other teams, mind. But we know that we can get, like I've said before, we will give anyone a game if we're on it, and if we're not, then we'll get his medicine. So we've got to be on it. We're not good enough to just play at 80%. But we've got to be on it, and if we are, then we'll give anyone a game. Yeah,
sure. Obviously, this time round you'd want a lot bit more defensive solidity as well. You obviously don't want to concede 5, and that's sort of in general we want to improve the defensive record, don't we?
Yeah, I don't think we are too far off the league average, and that's why we've won a lot of games, and it's also why we haven't drawn many, and it's probably one of the reasons why we're in the position we're in. We've got an average number of clean sheets in the league. When we don't concede often in games, as in like we've had a fair amount of clean sheets this year. I don't know the actual number, but I know we're league average or above, I think we're slightly above the league average of clean sheets. But then when we do concede, we tend to concede more than one, and we've got to make sure that doesn't happen, because that gives us a chance in games. So, yeah, there's a little bit of work to do there, but it's also helped us score lots of goals. Our approach to games, I'm sure if you ask Stuart, Notts County conceded plenty of goals, but they also score plenty. So it depends which side of the coin. Everyone talks about Johnny Jones last game. We played him, setting up 4. He was at fault for 4. Nobody mentioned that. So we exposed him and he exposed us, and it's like that cat and mouse. So we've got to be, if we can be good one way and scoring goals and also good the other way at stopping them, then we'll have a positive result. Likewise, I'm sure Stuart will be saying if it's the opposite round, they'll have a positive result. And so it's that bit of cat and mouse and a bit of tactical understanding in game on the players, and also how we set them up prior to kick-off. And we've got to be on the metal, and if we're not, then we'll have a tough afternoon. But if we are, then we'll have a good afternoon.
Yeah, and it's nice, I think, as well to get back in front of the BP crowd. Since the Port Vale game, we haven't obviously been back. How much of a boost is that for yourself and for the players?
Yeah, the Port Vale game was a terrific atmosphere, and we hope that every single home game from now until the end of the season replicates that, both in terms of atmosphere, singing, performance and result. Because that's what we're all aiming for. No one's aiming for anything less than that. Will it all happen like that all the time? Well, I hope so. And we could all play a part. I've said that often, and I appreciate that in cold weather you might have gloves on, but if you can, make sure you got bare hands and clap, and if you don't, because you've got your gloves on, then make sure you start off a chant or join in with chanting, and because the atmosphere is really important to us. It does help. It helps. When we go to opposition grounds, you can feel you can feel the presence of the fans, and we want the opposition players to feel the presence of our fans, and I appreciate that's also incumbent on us as players and staff to do that, maybe initially. But then also there's both sides of that coin as well, and hopefully we can have another good afternoon like we did last time we played in front of the terrific fans.
David, thank you very much.
Thank you.